frankly, like there is a really, really nasty stereotype about attorneys in general, but especially personal injury attorneys, that they're ambulance chasers. Like I'm not even joking. I've actually been researching jokes about attorneys for Threads by Instagram, which has just recently launched. So, it's very top of mind. It's a really great channel for puns and jokes and things like that. And I'll tell you, it is really hard to find one that reflects positively on attorneys. It's very, very difficult.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, this is Max Pittman from WriteForMe, and you're listening to another episode of the Business Ninjas podcast. We're going to meet the experts who are making things happen and scaling their businesses. And today we're talking about Keches Law Group with Christine Wheeler, who is the director of social media there at Keches Law Group. Christine, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Max.
Yeah, we appreciate you being here and excited to dive into Keches Law. For everyone who isn't familiar with Keches Law Group, they are personal injury and workers' comp attorneys. They have a wide variety of focus areas, I'd say, but those are definitely like two of their biggest focuses, and they're dedicated in providing legal representation and advocacy for individuals and families who are experiencing various legal challenges. And the organization itself has been around since the mid 80s, since 1986. So definitely excited to dive into what's going on at Keches Law Group and how things have evolved and changed and where you guys are going from here in 2023. But before we jump into the organization, our community is built of entrepreneurs, executives, sales and marketing leaders, and probably some ideal clients for you guys based in the Boston area. So as the director of social media there at Keches Law Group, Christine, I'd love it if you can tell our Business Ninjas community a little bit about yourself and maybe some of the things you're focused on.
Awesome. So like you said, I'm Christine Wheeler. I am director of social at Keches Law Group. I'm actually new to the organization. So my role actually, I just started in mid-March of 2023. So content marketing is a really new venture for Keches, the organization. So I was brought in really to develop a social media and content team. My background, I've been in the social media, marketing communications, and journalism industries for over 10 years now. I kind of bounced back and forth from marketing to journalism, back to marketing, and I've really taken a lot of different insights from different industries, different structures, and it's really shaped just how I tell stories in general. One other thing about me, I have ADHD. I was actually fairly recently diagnosed just last year. It is both my superpower and my fatal flaw because I have far too many interests for one person. But I think it's really part of that like secret sauce, if you will, that makes me me, and it makes me really good at my job. I am an intrinsic learner. I go down research rabbit holes all the time. I think if this is the type of space that you have to be willing to learn new things and absorb different information, and it all goes into telling a better story. In my personal life, I live in Rentham, Massachusetts. I've been married for 8 years. My husband and I have a Pembroke Welsh Corgi named Gouda. He is adorable. We have 2 cats, and I play a lot of sports in my free time. I actually just recently earned my black belt in Krav Maga. That's something I've been doing for almost 4 years. And I also play ball hockey, which is like ice hockey, but there's no skates or ice. You can look it up. I won't bore you with the details, but niche sports are kind of my thing.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that. I appreciate you sharing obviously a little bit about yourself, personal, and in your professional journey as well. How did you kind of get started in this industry and transitioning into law? Obviously from journalism kind of seems a little bit natural. But like just kind of curious to hear about like your own personal journey back into legal.
Yeah, so funny anecdote about that. So I was a child of the recession, as I like to call it. So I graduated college with a degree in business administration from Southern New Hampshire University in 2010. And I don't know if you've heard, but there was a major recession going on. There weren't a whole lot of jobs available. And I was really at kind of this crossroads of, okay, do I, kind of try to grind it out and figure out what I want to do, or do I consider going back to school? A lot of my peers also went back to school. I was choosing between 3 different paths, and the 3 that were set out for me actually was I was very seriously considering going to law school. I was told that I was a born arguer, so it makes sense, right? Thought it was something that I would be good at. It seemed interesting to me. Another avenue was possibly getting a master's degree in journalism. I've always been kind of a news junkie, love keeping up with current events and things like that. And then my third option was a master's in marketing program. I chose the last one. I did go get my master's degree in marketing from Southern New Hampshire University again. And I graduated with that in 2013. But I actually got so far as to study for my LSATs, which it's like the entrance exam that you take to get into law school. And I got that far with it. That is how seriously I was considering becoming an attorney. So it's really funny that by way of my career, I've been in marketing, but also did still go into journalism. And then now I work in the legal industry. So it's just one of those like serendipitous sort of things.
Very cool.
But all that said, I wasn't necessarily looking for a new role, but was approached with this really great opportunity to build out this social and editorial content team within Keches. And I think what really captured my attention and really the major selling point for me was that it's all about helping someone who got hurt. Working in the news industry, I'm sure you are well aware that the news can be very sad. It can be a very, very heavy job because you can't tune that out. You have to absorb all of it. Otherwise, you're not doing a great job. And in what I'm doing now, what I love about it is that while yes, something bad happened and we can't change the fact that something bad happened, we're at least helping advocate for that victim to get the compensation that they deserve, the outcome that they deserve. Mm-hmm. So I would say that like tying all of this together, it's really focused on the person. It's very human to human. I have this whole thing about, it's not B2B, it's not B2C, it's not, e-commerce, retail, software as a service. At the end of the day, marketing is all about human to human interaction. And that's like at the core of all of it. It's not about the product or service we're selling. It's about telling stories that provide value to our audience. And this is a space where I get to tell these great stories about people who have, had horrible things happen to them, but we were able to get a better outcome for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point. Those stories are definitely unique to tell, and you having the ability to give those unique perspectives from the clients and the cases you guys have won, and the obviously these are things that people most of the time that they wish never happened to them, but if there's a good outcome there, which obviously your team is going to be advocating for, is a great story to tell in case this happens to other people around you in those areas. So maybe if you could tell me a little bit about the law group's origins a bit, that'd be helpful too, and where are you able to service your clients?
Sure. So Keches Law Group was founded by George Keches in 1986. He's our founding partner. He's actually still practicing. So he's actually in this building in Bridgewater most of the time. Our current managing partner, Sean Flaherty. So he actually has a really cool origin story that I found out about when I was interviewing, not through him, but just by doing, like Google research, because he's very humble. He doesn't like to talk about this a ton. But he's actually a former construction worker. He was a local 7 iron worker, and he suffered a catastrophic injury on a job site in the year 2000. I believe it was something to do with his foot or his ankle. I think he had like multiple bones that were crushed. It was a career-ending injury. George Keches actually represented Sean in court, and when his case was settled, Sean actually looked at George and said, I'm going to become a lawyer. And he went and finished college. He went to law school. During law school, he started clerking at Keches Law Group, at least working here. And the rest is really history. He joined as an attorney and, obviously has gone on to become the managing partner. So he's got just like this really cool story. And I think one thing about it for me is that he has walked the walk and he talks the talk. He has that really close personal experience. He knows what it's like to suffer this catastrophic injury that really changes your life. And not only did he turn that around, he's using that as his motivation to go and help other people that are in that situation. He didn't want anybody else to experience some of the things that he went through. Mm-hmm. So that's something that, was really influential for me in joining the firm. The other thing is that, Sean is very much the type that, again, walks the walk and talks the talk. He is so focused on evolving the company in a lot of different ways, trying new technology solutions. We've, I think, more than doubled our workforce in the past several years alone. even throughout COVID, we didn't necessarily, my understanding is that we actually didn't lay off a single person during COVID. That was like a really big sticking point. Sean really tries to keep his, oh my gosh. Sean tries to treat his employees like they are family. There we go. You can fix that.
No, it's fine. You're good.
And so other things that we're doing, we're testing and implementing a lot of technology solutions, seeing how we can use AI, automation softwares, things like that, better communication to help, really tie people together and help everyone serve that end goal, even if we're in different offices. And just continuing to invest in expanding and developing our workforce so that we can scale to support the business growth. Because that's actually, it's an interesting situation that we're in where we've grown a ton and we actually are sort of in this position that we need to hire people to be able to support the work we want to continue doing.
Sure.
Let's see. I think you asked about like kind of where we operate.
Yeah, because I know
We're
it's Massachusetts based. So
yes.
I'd love to just kind of get an idea of like the top art audiences that you guys are trying to work with and where they're located.
Yeah, so we are headquartered in Massachusetts, headquartered in Bridgewater. We also have an office in Milton, Massachusetts, one in Lawrence, one in Worcester, and we have one in Providence, Rhode Island. We also have satellite offices in the Philadelphia area and the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So I would say primarily based in New England. That's where the vast majority of our clients are located as well. But we do practice in some other areas. We have several attorneys that are licensed in other states. So it's New England, but it's not like a hard and fast New England.
Sure. Well, obviously you already have a presence in that space for sure. Already like people know the brand and the logo there. So, but what I'm hearing from you is that, a little bit about what makes you stand out for sure is going to be, an ability to adopt technology and processes and even some automation to help, better serve your clients and customers. And so, maybe an optimization there of processes and the people that you guys have internally. But I'm just kind of curious, like, why would, I go with Keches Law, versus like some of the competitors there? Like, what do you think, makes you stand out against the competition?
Yeah, great question. So I think first and foremost, empathy. Frankly, like there is a really, really nasty stereotype about attorneys in general, but especially personal injury attorneys, that they're ambulance chasers. Like I'm not even joking. I've actually been researching jokes about attorneys for Threads by Instagram, which has just recently launched. So, it's very top of mind. It's a really great channel for puns and jokes and things like that. And I'll tell you, it is really hard to find one that reflects positively on attorneys. It's very, very difficult. I have actually taken to writing my own jokes. Stand-up comedy is another one of my moonlighting careers. It's not, I'm kidding. But, there's this nasty perception that personal injury attorneys are only in it for the fees and that they don't necessarily put client welfare first and foremost. And that's really not the case here. We are all about people first, and that means client first. That means employees first. That means our families first. That value is articulated from the top down, like directly comes from Sean Flaherty, our managing partner. He really, really treats everyone with respect and makes a really big effort to show appreciation. So just that whole culture overall, it's absolutely integral to how we serve our clients as well. So our attorneys are not only experienced and talented and intelligent, but they're empathetic and they're vouching for whatever the best outcome is for that client. And it can mean a lot of different things. Some clients may not benefit as much from going to a trial, even though they may get a bigger outcome, but it's better for their emotional health for them to not go to trial, and it's better for them to take a settlement. And those are all factors that our attorneys are weighing on a regular basis. And at the end of the day, they are always advocating for whatever is best for that client. And that the only way that they get that is by really listening to them, understanding where they're at, what their needs are, and coming up with different solutions for each and every client. It's not a one size fits all situation.
Sure. Yeah. So I would agree, right? There's got to be a human element to it and be able to, there's got to be trust, and there's got to be a willingness to to work with your clients and make sure like they get the best outcome for them personally. So I love hearing that, so empathy is a big piece of it. How about like technology? Like how are you guys communicating with your clients as well? Like are you using any special technology or automation to keep people in the loop?
Yeah, so that's an area that we're really expanding and exploring. So this is like a funny little anecdote, but our chief operating officer, Tim Blackyear, he actually has this like personal initiative to explore a new AI tool for 30 minutes every single day. So we're we're in this tricky scenario where we have to figure out the right way to use a lot of these tools that can have a little bit of a slippery slope attached to them. So we have to figure out the right way to use them, the ethical way to use them, the efficient way to use them. So I don't know that I have like a great answer for that specifically. I can tell you that, we use communications tools like, we use obviously Microsoft Suite, but we also use Salesforce to make sure that we're able to keep track of, inbound contacts that are reaching out to us for help so that we can monitor that, how long it takes for somebody to reach out to them. We're also looking at exploring some additional automations. I would say that a lot of what we're focused on right now is internal communication and streamlining that process. And I think that's going to trickle down to how we communicate better with our clients in the very near future.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love that. I feel like constant communication is key, and adoption of AI and kind of be at the forefront of AI is going to be, key for, helping, either like the creative process or helping with strategizing, these opportunities. I've even played around with it, like help me strategize like comp plans and like what's the best outcome for, our team here based on, different metrics that I kind of give it, right? So I think if you're able to like feed AI, the input, the outputs that it needs, you're able to get it, you're able to get something useful out of it. I'm not sure how that would apply to law, but it's cool to see you guys are, yeah.
Even situations such as like using AI to summarize a case so that we're able to post a story about it in a way that is cohesive and makes sense so that information is communicated in a timely manner. Even using AI to write scripts that pull information from Salesforce into another tool, into, an email so that it's easy to use. As far as like my team goes with technology, some tools that we're using currently, we use Monday.com for project management. We use Sprout Social for social media management. That's like our one-stop shop. Other tools that are really great that I've used in the past. I mean, HubSpot is obviously amazing. Can't go wrong with it. But in general, like I think that if you are a marketing leader in 2023 and you're not using some of these tools to make your job a little bit easier, you're probably not getting enough done on a day-to-day basis. Like it's just, I don't even know how anyone would keep up without some of these tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how it plays into content too. And like almost expediting and accelerating the creative process a bit and allows you to test different content variations. Like how has AI affected like what you're doing in your day to day?
Oh, so much. And it's funny because it's like I think as a content creator myself, I don't know, it's always this little like six in one, half dozen in the other, right? Because on the one hand, I'm like, this makes my job so much easier. But on the other hand, I also think to myself, ooh, like, do I have to worry about, AI coming for my job someday? The answer is probably, I don't know. I feel like everybody has to worry about that. But I think it's such a powerful tool and you can use it in really infinite ways. I mentioned the thing about jokes about attorneys earlier, but I'm not even joking. I was going back and forth with ChatGPT yesterday, asking it to tell me jokes and then giving it feedback on whether I thought the jokes were funny or not. And, I actually now have a saved chat where I can continue to chat with it about jokes. So I'm coming up with this laundry list of jokes that are both business appropriate and positive about attorneys, but like not too lame and corny, but, kind of meet all of those different needs. I use it for ideation a lot. Sometimes you can use it to create outlines. Canva has some really great tools. They've got a magic write tool and like a magic design tool. Just like there's so many different creative things that you can do. Like I've even known somebody, this isn't from Keches, but I know someone who created a structure to feed information into ChatGPT so that it would spit out like meta descriptions, SEO titles, and things like that, just with like a really small amount of information. So I think the applications are really limitless, and it's all about just finding the right angle for your specific organization.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. The more information you can give it, like the better. The more like outputs you give it, like the more keywords, topics, tone, the more competitor websites to research and data points to develop, the better the content and the better the outputs will be on the back end. Because if you just tell me, hey, write me 10 different viral video ideas for a law firm based in Massachusetts, it will. But it's going to be very basic. You're probably still going to have to do some editing, and it's probably going to be what the other 10 personal injury attorneys are asking it as well in your area. So you want to make sure like the content you're getting out of it is something that's going to separate you and kind of give you a springboard to build something useful out of it.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's buyer beware a little bit, or user beware. It's you're putting information into a robot, and you're expecting it to give you a human answer, and it's not a human. I don't know that it's ever going to replace that human touch, because I personally don't think that that's possible to replace that fully through AI. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'll be proven wrong. But I do still think that you always need that human element. But it can definitely go a long way just in terms of like coming up with some base structure, giving you something to work with so that you don't have to do the entire lift yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
100%. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. We're talking the same language with how we're thinking about AI ourselves from a content perspective. So, with that in mind, I'm just kind of curious, like what value has content marketing played, for Keches Law? I know you're, focused a lot on content, so I'm just kind of curious how that would lie with you.
yeah, so again, content marketing is really a new venture for Keches. So, in terms of like the tangible impact that my team has had, we've barely scratched the surface, and we've already really like just knocked it. My team is just knocking it out of the park in terms of like creating cool content. We're coming up with like really fun, creative ideas, TikTok series with professional sports teams, and safety editorials and PSAs, and just really like creative ideas, even planning like local events. We did something for Donut Day. We actually got donuts and brought them to our office just so that we could take pictures for Donut Day. So it's like, we're kind of in that space of like, we're having fun. We're sort of trying to break through the noise, again, shift that perception about personal injury attorneys, specifically as it applies to Keches. We're still really in the very early phases of developing and implementing our content strategy. So we do have a defined content strategy, and we have key performance indicators, or KPIs, that we use to measure our success. But we're really at the ground floor. So everything that we're doing right now, it's really just building for next year. One of the things that's really cool specifically about Keches is that when I came here, so when I was in this interview process, one of the questions that I had is, well, okay, what do you want? Like, what do you want out of your social program, out of your editorial program? Because the answer that I pretty much always get, and the answer that I expected, was new business, leads, clients.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, that isn't the answer that I got. Yes, they want that eventually. That is the goal. Like, that's of course the long-term goal, because marketing leaders, or just leadership in general, they want return on investment. They want that to be a tangible return on investment, and they want to pad their revenue. But the thing that's really tricky is that leaders, especially the ones that aren't necessarily digital marketing savvy, sometimes forget that things are not instant. You cannot get instant gratification via social media. And I know it feels that way because you can just put something out to the world in a matter of 2 seconds. But the reality is that all of these things take a lot of time. You have to build out the top of your funnel so that you get people into the middle of your funnel so that they eventually make it to the bottom of your funnel. And the only way that you do that is really by meeting people where they are and giving them content that resonates for them, no matter what stage of their decision-making journey they're in. And it's tricky because there's this analogy that I like to use. If you're selling something and you go knock on a stranger's door, they're way less likely to give you the time of day than if you go and you knock on your best friend's door. or even just an acquaintance's door. The better you know someone, the more likely you are to give them your time. And the same thing really applies to social. Like we sometimes think of it as transactional, but it's a relationship. And our customers, or our potential clients, I should say, they need to be warmed up to hear our message, and then they might be interested. And the other thing that's also specifically tricky about the personal injury space is that we're also not sitting there crossing our fingers that somebody gets hurt and needs us. Our whole thing is we need to be top of mind. We need good brand awareness. We need brand love, so that if and when someone needs us, we're top of mind. We're the ones that they think of. And so it's this tricky thing where like we can't necessarily deliver the most actionable lead generation ad the way that you can in some verticals, strictly because anybody could get hurt at any time. Anybody is a potential client, and there's no realistic way to target someone when they're at that point in their journey. Yeah. All you can do is make sure that they know who you are, so that they think of you when they're ready.
Yeah, definitely. And staying top of mind, and staying personable in the content, and being able to tell that message is going to be valuable, and you guys continuing to earn market share and earn opportunities and clients, and ideally win cases with them. So I know it's kind of a dirty game, right? But there's a right way to go about things, and it definitely sounds like you guys are at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
So what is something that you guys want to be celebrating like a year from now? I know as you kind of get your feet wet, continue to grow and scale. You talked a little bit about what you're implementing now is going to be driving engagement and ideally opportunities here in the new year. But is there something that you guys are looking to celebrate by the end of this year or next year?
Yeah. So again, new to the company. My team is all new. So I started in March. I currently have a team of 2 that both started in May. My content writer, his name is Mark. Georgia is our social media specialist. So we're really in this kind of like level setting, again, I keep using the phrase ground floor. We're at the ground floor. So the thing that's kind of neat is that even though we're in uncharted territory, because we took those really intentional steps of establishing a content strategy, identifying, realistic KPIs that we wanted to strive for, fleshing out content pillars, we've really laid the groundwork so that we can measure our success moving forward. I can share anecdotally that our follower growth quarter over quarter from Q2 of 2023 compared to Q1 of 2023, we're at like 71% follower growth. And I think we're at like almost 2000% growth in terms of total impressions. So in terms of like just the sheer visibility, we are already moving the needle in that direction. I think what we have in front of us is to continue building off of this framework, really get to a point where we can kind of get out of being month to month, planning our content a full quarter ahead. So we're starting to take those steps, and we're getting there. I do hope that we have some, additional headcount added and some really clearly defined processes, because I think that's just going to help us continue to do more at scale. Right now, we're a small but mighty team. But I think my team has done such a great job helping set this baseline, and we're already just exceeding even the expectations that we've set for ourselves. When I came in, I did this preliminary analysis of our performance for the year prior and looked at different trends, and that's how I made my KPI predictions. And we've actually already exceeded every single one that I set, which I called was going to happen, because when you go from 5 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour, you naturally blow your own expectations out of the water. But it was just this funny thing where I did all the math, and I was like, well, I know that I'm going to exceed this, but I can't. The data doesn't tell me that I can make a prediction that's bigger than this yet. So I can't make that prediction, but I know that it's coming. Mm-hmm. So I hope that we continue to see that growth. At some point, I do hope that it levels out in terms of growth, because then you start to get into that fun territory of being able to look at the consistency and that whole journey. Explosive growth is really cool, but it's unsustainable forever. So, have to kind of take both of those things in stride. Mm-hmm. So all just part of the journey.
Yes, I love it. Sounds like there's a lot of great things going on there, and it's a great time to be there as they brought you on, and you have your team there to help you out. And there's a focus on content, a focus on technology, and a focus on your clients as well, right? So you guys provide great legal assistance for your clients, and you provide the resources there for them and insights. You guys have obviously in a wide variety of different practice areas. You have attorneys there that are obviously specialists, and a lot of testimonials from satisfied clients as well. So, it sounds like you guys are a very prominent law firm, obviously committed to serving the legal needs of individuals and families in Massachusetts and so forth. And you guys have a great experience and team there to help lead these clients to obviously the best outcome for them personally. So I appreciate you sharing, your story. I appreciate you sharing what you guys have been focusing on from a marketing perspective and how you guys offer these comprehensive legal services, and dedicated to obviously serving the client and their satisfaction. So I'm excited to see how you guys continue to be a trusted advocate for those seeking obviously justice and some fair compensation for their legal matters. As we wrap things up here, Christine, anything you want to leave our audience with, anything you think we haven't touched on that you think that they need to hear, and what's the best way for people to get a hold of you, getting a hold of Keches Law Group?
Yeah, so I think if there is one key insight that I can offer as, a content marketer, it's create with intention. Really know who your audience is, define who that audience is, define what your message is, and have everything ladder back to those core objectives that you're trying to accomplish. It's really tempting sometimes to just try things to see what sticks. And sometimes you have to do that. Don't get me wrong. Like, there's a time and a place for just throwing things at the wall. But overall, it's so important to have real definition around, what are your content pillars? Who are you talking to? And really have that fleshed out so that you can create intentionally. Otherwise, you don't know whether something performed well. You don't know how to measure whether it performed well because you didn't define what you were setting out to do to begin with. Yep. So I'd say that's like my number one thing is just create with intention. If you don't have a clear why, you shouldn't be spending time or money doing it. Yep. And then as far as how people can find me, so my personal handles on Instagram, Twitter, pretty much everywhere, it's cdwheels13. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, Christine Wheeler. And then you can also keep up with Keches Law at kecheslaw.com, or our handles are Keches Law, also pretty much everywhere. So
love it. Yeah, everyone go check out kecheslaw.com. So that's KECHESLAW.com. Feel free to reach out to Christine as well, and the team there if you have any legal needs or want to talk marketing. I could talk to you about content marketing all day and content clusters and how you guys are thinking about building content around like the core values of your company and your services and what people might be searching in order to find you guys. So definitely more for us to talk about offline, but yeah, for anyone wanting to kind of pick her brain, don't hesitate to reach out. And again, reach out to Keches Law Group if you're in the Massachusetts area. Thank you so much for being here, Christine, and sharing your story and helping us understand a little bit more about who Keches Law Group is.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Max. This was awesome.
Yes, I appreciate your time and definitely enjoyed this conversation. I feel like I learned a lot about you and in the group as well. So appreciate you being here. And that wraps up another episode of our Business Ninjas podcast. Everyone, thank you so much for listening and have a great rest of the day.